Well, that's a step in the right direction.
What's up, everybody? It's that time of the week again. Gen Z reviews. We are talking about Steven Spielberg's infamous Saving Private Ryan. I think this is a movie pretty much everybody's seen at some point in their life. It's a staple. It's an American staple. And, this movie has had like a crazy amount of impact on the war genre altogether, as well as it has just immense amount of credit towards its accuracy and reliability, which the particular critic, despite all the praise it gets for this, he says it's not perfect. So I'm definitely excited to hear.
Perfect, but
Yes, I'm excited to hear his thoughts. We are the Gen Z 3 right here, 20-year-olds experiencing this film, not for the first time for me. Ty's seen it before, but Luke, this is his first time reacting and reviewing the movie, so we're excited to get his perspective. But, today we're going to be discussing and breaking down Saving Private Ryan. This is a big movie, and let's not waste any time. It's not just us three. We have to bring in some wise words of wisdom. Two other YouTubers that are great. They're going to put us on our plates. They know these films a little bit better than us at times. They've had more experience, and you know what? They're credible guys. So let's not waste any time getting right to it. Corey, Wilkie's Movies and Music, the Physical Media Man, and World War Joe. What's up, guys?
I don't know. That's a lot to live up to, that intro that you gave us.
It's true, Wilkie. It's true. How's it going, guys? You doing good? Feeling pumped?
Doing great.
Absolutely. I got this movie on as background noise right now.
Oh, there you go. This is a good film to just kind of motivate you in life, just kind of have it on the background. But at the end of the day, one of like the credits this movie gets is during a time when a lot of war movies were sort of about like the big spectacle of war and showing like just big major battles and kind of also leaning into the campiness sometimes. This one took a very serious turn. It made sure that this war was represented in a bleak, gritty fashion, unlike anything really before the time. And I think a lot of people, were going in thinking, this is a Spielberg film. I mean, they had just seen Schindler's List, but, most of his movies are pretty optimistic. And I don't think anybody had any sort of idea as to what they were signing up for when they saw this movie for the first time. Can you guys remember the first time you experienced Saving Private Ryan, World War Joe, and Wilkie?
Yes,
3 hours ago.
Actually, I have a very embarrassing story about it. I'm very glad you asked me that question. When this movie came out, everyone in my school was saying Saving Ryan's Privates.
Who else said that? I heard that too.
So I had zero idea. This movie came out, 2001? It was like long before YouTube. And then in my school, we have Holocaust Month, where we do nothing but watch World War II movies. And this came on, had no idea what I was in for. Totally took me by surprise.
Oh man, dang!
Yes.
Wait. When did you watch this? As like in school? What grade?
When is it called? 2001?
98, I believe.
Yeah, it came out in 98.
I must have been like late middle school when I saw this. Then.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
did not expect
I'm the
that
really
at all.
old guy here.
World War Joe, when you saw this in your classroom or whatever scenario that you saw this in, like in that middle school age, like what did you think? Like what was your takeaway from this movie?
My takeaway was that I will never sign up for war. I am a coward. I would never ever do this ever. That was really my reaction. Like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Nice. That's fair. What about you, Wilkie?
Yeah, I remember going to see this in the theater. I would have been graduated from college at this point because I'm an old man. So just right before it, I was looking to the month and year. I would have graduated just a few months before this came out. So no, I remember going to see this. It's something that's always intrigued me to look into because both my grandfathers were in World War II in very different areas of it. And what we found out, what they were involved with and how little they spoke of it really drove home to me the seriousness of it and what these very, very young men were experiencing. And so it hit me pretty hard, I think, when I watched it, just seeing the realism of some of those events and realizing that that's something that, my grandfathers were taking.
I'll totally like add on to that for Wilkie or whatever, but like I I have two grandparents who are now deceased, but they also served in World War II and all that kind of stuff. And when I was younger, while they were still around, like that was the way that they like told their story. That was the thing that they wanted to talk about. And so like it is very like it's very impactful. And like me seeing this movie when I was 10 years old, like with my papaw, like it was like I was scared, but I was also like so intrigued and interested. Like, what is going on? Like, why are people so angry with each other? Why are these people killing each other on like all these fronts? Like, it was such a like scary but involving thing at the same time. So,
you make a good point. This is like a compelling introduction into what war even is, right? And I think, Joe, you mentioning that you saw this in grade school, like to all of us now, I can't imagine them doing that now. Unfortunately, because I think this is a good thing for young audiences to see, to understand, the real tragedy that this really is, and there's no hiding it, right? So I think everything is just so glossed over and sugar coated now that, nobody really understands the true gravity of anything that happens anymore. So I think that's what's great about just going back to these older films as well. You're able to experience that a little bit more authentic. Critic, what you were saying that like, your grandpa, instead of like telling you the stories, he would refer you to the movie.
mm-hmm.
Wow.
I watched this movie with my papaw for the first time when I was 10 years old. And it was because he felt that he was so interested in this type of thing, and he had experienced all this type of stuff that he felt necessary to expose me to this type of film. And ever since then, like I've been very, very interested in war movies, Full Metal Jacket, Jarhead, like all the other ones that have existed. Like I'm always like, even though like World War Joe said, like I would be way too scared to like be in the military, like completely, like that would not be my thing. But like the idea and the history of it is so like interesting and like captivating that like I can't help but not be interested in it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think this is like this movie. I feel like everybody looks down on the cowardly character, right? In the very beginning, he's just a lonely typist, right? I think his name is Corporal Upham. Upham. And I think I have a picture of him here somewhere. Yeah. This guy. And I think everyone, all men in general, I can't imagine anyone thinks, oh, that's not going to be me. I can't imagine I'd ever be like this. Well, funny enough, I met this actor a few years ago at a convention. And I mentioned that same thing. I was young and dull. And I mentioned that to him. I'm like, what was it like playing the coward in Saving Private Ryan? And he was like, well, I actually had a lot of veterans come up to me and thank me for my performance, because this was a more relatable character in their experience than any other in the movie. And I think that just kind of gave me a lot of perspective that, who knows how we'll really react in these horrifying situations. And like you said, Joe, it kind of scared you straight a little bit watching this at a young age because of just how awful the whole situation is. And it's kind of surprising to think that any man can live up to the tragedy that's falling in front of them.
What did Mike Tyson always say? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure with this movie, they actually set up some kind of a hotline for veterans to call if they were traumatized while watching it.
Yeah, I have a note about that. I'm going to get into that later. Before we do get into it, though, everybody, please make sure to check out our special guests here, Wilkie's Movies and Music. Great friend of the channel. We love having him on. A good supporter of mine. He just purchased some of my artwork, and I'm excited to ship to him. So we appreciate you, Wilkie. That was very nice of you to go out of your way to do that. So thank you very much.
I need some stuff to hang on my wall.
You got enough on your walls. Look at your background. You got DVDs. Doesn't get better than that.
Oh, no way, man. I'm going to get
fill
a
in the
picture
space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then World War Joe. Also check out World War Joe 2. He likes making his own music, and he's also just a film commentator and a good friend of our channel as well. So be sure to check out him.
I am giving a thumbs up. Thank you.
Yep,
World War Joe can break down a movie like no one else.
Oh, thank you for that.
Right. Yep. And then also particular critic. Make sure to check him out. New friend of the channel, hopping on.
He's
gonna
videos
make his
yet.
first video soon.
No videos yet, only because my all my footage got corrupted. So
He's got to start somewhere. Yeah. And of course, Luke, as always on the stream. But, let's get into the meat and the potatoes. Of course, Saving Private Ryan, everybody remembers one scene more than anything else. And of course, it's the introductory scene. It's the D-Day opening scene. And it's kind of like when I think of Saving Private Ryan, this is immediately what comes to mind right off the bat. I'm kind of wondering, what do you guys think is so special about this opening scene? Because, I feel like whenever conversations erupted about World War II, everyone mentions D-Day. That's it's probably the most pivotal moment in World War II, really. And I think this movie is just typically credited for this scene when that comes up. So I'm wondering what do you guys think is so special about this performance? Because, this isn't a short sequence either. I mean, I think this goes
30
on
minutes.
for 30 minutes. Wow.
Yeah.
30 minutes. And it goes by in a
home.
flash. So what do you guys think?
It's the courage. It's the fact that everybody in the front lines in the first few ships knew they were going to die with the machine guns that were being fired at them. The bravery, the courage, and just the heroic lives that were taken that day. It's such an iconic and devastating setting, and one was fatality. Like, what was it? The biggest fatality of World War II?
80 million.
Was, yeah,
80 million, like Proctopil said.
Proctopil.
That's his new
I
nickname.
said-
for me.
Yeah, Proctopil, you can be. Yeah, you can be
Hey, Proctopil, what do you got to say about that? No, but yeah, that's all I got for that. That was a phenomenal scene. 30 minutes long, super realistic, very graphic. It kind of stunned me because I'm gonna admit I watched this for the first time 3 hours ago, and I was just getting comfortable sitting down with my niece, and I turned it on. I was like, "Whoa!"
I hope your niece wasn't watching.
I know. I turned it away as soon as it started. I was like, well, "This is graphic. This is not good." And that was a very it was just a quiet moment. I was just watching, like, "Damn." That's,
Something I respect about this scene right off the bat is, of course, like you look at this image and it's like, it's such a disgusting, awful situation. And you just see death, just, all these poor people just dying on the spot left and right. But, something I also respect about it, and I think it's like one of the more subtle elements that makes it work, is you see raw emotion in many different forms. You see the guys right before they launch and invade. You see them, vomiting in the ships. You see them just shaking, talking to themselves, staring, blankly. And then once the doors open, you see just utter shock and horror befall on their faces. And then you just kind of see that story of emotion even further explored once they finally made it to safety. The very few that get to those giant, the beach blockers, and you see a totally different, emotional response there as well. And I think I admire this whole sequence for showing the levels of D-Day, because it's not simply just, storming the beach and getting to those machine gun men. This has levels, and 30 minutes gets pretty deep into what those levels represent and the stakes involved in each one of them. And it's really just crazy to think that, looking at the scene here, that anyone was even able to make it past a certain point. I really don't know how it's even possible.
Yeah, and I just add to that why I think this scene just stands out so much is the realism of it, and they didn't over glamorize the soldiers in it. Like you said, you see people shaking, scared. I mean, they're a lot of them are teenagers, and it's a horrific situation they're getting thrown into. So yeah, throwing up, being scared, and some of them die, and not like, really heroic. I mean, it is heroic because they're doing it, but they're diving off of the amphibious boats before they get to the beach because they're getting gunned down, and some people just drowned. They don't even get to the beach. So it is still heroic, but it's just not over glamorizing. I think it's just a more realistic take on it. And the other thing that I think really drives this home is they cut the score completely. There's like no score during this.
There's no music.
You don't need any music.
You just hear bullets and
It's pure
men
gunfire and pain.
Yeah. And I think that just drives it. I think that was was intentionally done, and it was a great way to really drive home what was happening at that
Absolutely.
situation.
I think
Well,
I will say that like after like because I rewatched Saving Private Ryan last night, so it's pretty fresh in my memory. And something like, and you can like, as my background shows, like this group of people who are on the little like they're on the little boat, like that scene really like held importance to me because like as you guys were saying, there's like people in general fear. There's people throwing up. There's people like kissing their crosses, hoping to God that they're gonna stay alive. And like that really hit me hard because these people, they're not like no matter how trained you are for what you're gonna be doing, like you're not totally trained. Like and like you said, like there's like children, like young adults, like teenagers who like have been drafted against their will and they're genuinely terrified. Not to mention that like probably most of these people have never been on the water before. So like the motion sickness along with the fear and the anxiety and all that kind of stuff, like that's terrifying. That's a terrifying thing to think about. Like I would like never want to be in that situation ever because these people in the front line, they know they're gonna die.
I don't know how anyone got off the boats during this scene.
It's like they just they threw as many bodies at that beach as they possibly could,
Right.
and the few that got through, made the
We're the
difference.
lucky ones, yeah.
Well, I mean, they all made the difference but yeah, it's just amazing. It's mind-boggling the number of young men that didn't
Yeah,
make it
I
off
mean,
that beach.
Proctophile said earlier in the comments, like 80 million men died.
Gosh, that's insane on that incursion. Wow. Sweet.
Well,
Population of 9
that would have
million.
been the whole war, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
that
whole
would've
war.
been
Okay, yeah, I was gonna
in
say.
between French, American, Canadian, like all of those different countries. But yeah, in total, like 80 million people is
I'll
like
look that up.
But as I'm actually watching this now as background noise as we're talking about this, and Tom Hanks's character, he had that one moment where he's covered in blood and puts on his helmet, and then he just goes to work. He's calling out plays for everyone. He's standing in front of the bullets to draw the fire. I mean, like the presence of mind. That's what I'm kind of wondering of what the training is, because he was a school teacher, I think, at one point, right?
Yeah,
Am I not
yeah.
mistaken? So how do you go to that mentality of just going into that zone and saying, okay, I got this now. All these dudes' lives are dependent on me. And if I die, who knows what's going to happen to them? I find that incredible right there, the amount of leadership he had in this.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how he also got to that position too. I think he said he'd been in the army for a year before, but that's not very long to have like a commanding position. So I'm curious to know how he got that and how much experience he had before this battle as well. Obviously, he must have had a decent amount because he did a great job leading these men.
Do we know if he's like, it's like what was it called? Mel Gibson's character? It's based off of like 7 different dudes' storylines. Do we know if Tom Hanks's character or any of them are based off of real people?
So the saving, like the idea of like Saving Private Ryan, like the whole idea where his 3 brothers had passed away in war, and so their goal is to try to keep this one brother alive for the family or whatever. That's not exactly a story, but it goes back to a policy that was made by the military. There was a Allied boat that was in German waters, and it had I'm trying to remember what the name of the family was, but I think it was the Davids. But there was 5 brothers, all last name David, who are on the same boat.
I think Sullivan.
Sullivan, yes. Yep. I'm sorry. Sullivan.
No, you're fine.
Yes. Yeah. There was 5 brothers on this boat, and they had all decided to get drafted together and be all on the same boat, and they ended up getting attacked by German submarines and missiles and all that kind of stuff. And so all of the 5 brothers died. And after that, the military made a rule that if the majority of a family who is enrolled together has passed away, that you are required to try to get the others out of combat in order to. Is that right, Wilkie?
Yeah. No, sorry. I was waiting for you to. Sorry,
No,
I
no,
started,
no, no.
I started getting ideas in my head, and I'm like, I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
No, I want you to contribute because I'm not completely like. I know the idea, but I'm not completely solid on exactly.
sounds
Oh
good.
no, you're absolutely right. The reason I know Sullivan Brothers, they're from Iowa, so not super far away from where I live right now, and so
We'll find you, Wilkie.
yeah, exactly. I just dox myself. But you're absolutely right. So one of the rules that they put into place after that is they would not have family members serving together like on one vessel or in one platoon. They were spreading them out. But then you're completely right too. Like if there was like 4 brothers serving and they have them all spread out and 3 of them get killed, they were like, let's get the final one home, kind of a thing. But
yeah.
What if it's like an even number? It's like 2 and 2. Like, do we?
I don't know
wait?
about that. But the big thing
yeah,
was
good
that
call.
they never let them serve on, especially like in the Navy, they were not serving on the same boat. They were spread out.
Yeah,
because that one the
smart.
brothers were all on the same ship.
There was too much of a casualty, like the amount of casualty within the whole family was too much.
Yeah,
And
all
the
at
goal
one
was
time.
is that like even if like the majority of the brothers die, like the family, the mother or the father, if they're still around, should have that like ability to like have their final their final child like with them, because like war is obviously a horrible thing, and so many people pass away as we've seen in so many different war films. But like if you can save at least one of a family to keep the widowing mother or like anything away from like total destruction, like that's necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so we were talking, or World War Joe, you mentioned earlier that there was a hotline reintroduced or like bolstered for veterans dealing with like the after effect of watching this movie. I looked into it earlier because I thought that was interesting too. It was the Department of Veterans Affairs in the U.S. They set up a counseling hotline when the movie was released, and they anticipated that the intensity might trigger a bunch of PTSD in aging World War II veterans. That's so sad. I don't think of any sort of precaution that new movies or any film studios ever take to prepare an audience for what's to come. At least not in like a more annoying like political fashion. Nothing like this. But this was something I think is so interesting about Saving Private Ryan. When I mentioned, like, because I talked to friends and family about, watching this again, and my girlfriend and I, we watched Saving Private Ryan in theaters. They played it at the Regal Cinemas. They're doing this month of masterpieces where they play, a new masterpiece every day, and it's a really cool system, and it looked great on the big screen. It was such a privilege to see that in theaters. Really different too. I loved it. But, something everybody mentioned that I brought the movie up to, they all talk about how D-Day veterans responded to this, and other veterans responded to their experience watching the movie as utterly realistic. And I wanted to look into it. And I had like 2 accounts here. I don't have too much evidence, but I have 2 accounts here, which really kind of shocked me a little bit, of different veterans testifying their experience with the movie. There was this one veteran that was interviewed by the New York Times in 1998, and he said that watching the film was like reliving Omaha Beach. This guy, he actually fought and was, one of the surviving forces on D-Day. And he was quoted saying, "I was crying for the first 20 minutes. It was like being back there." And then we had from the LA Times, this was Richard White. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he's kind of speaking on the accuracy of just war depiction itself when he says, "I was a whimpering, sobbing pile of blubber. I was very embarrassed and didn't want to be in that state of mind, but I couldn't help it. You feel that terror. I was in Vietnam, and the movie was World War II, but it was familiar." And it's just
different,
crazy.
but the same. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, whether
War
it was
is
World War II or
always the
Vietnam or Iraq, I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's the same horrific
mean,
events. Yeah.
War is war. Like we can try to discern, or we can try to like disconnect different types of wars, like World War I, World War II, the Vietnam issue, the like all that kind of stuff. But the reality of the situation is that like we can call it whatever the fuck we want, but it's war. Like we are in war, and when we're in war, it's like every man for themselves at that point. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
I just
Soon
remember
as-
both. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, as soon as that boat opens, like, hey, we have this big plan, but if I'm being gunned down by all these Germans, like, you know, it is every man for himself. I'm jumping over the side.
Right.
Yep. I just know both my grandfathers, they would not talk about their experiences at all. One grandpa did one time and he had to stop because he broke down, and my grandma just told him to stop. She's like,
Wow.
stop.
It's too painful. And that's what I've experienced with my grandpas before they passed away. People who have like gone through World War II, even if they're not like directly on like the front lines, like anybody a part of that, like my grandpa before he passed away, like he wasn't on the front lines, but like he had to do all the like rifle training, he had to do everything because at the like at the turn of a dime, like he was on the front lines. Like there's nothing you can do, you know? So you really just have to like, it's terrifying. Holy
Gosh, yeah. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty because, you know, the D-Day invasion, that's just the first part of the story. A lot more happens here. For the second installation, thankfully, you know, there's a squad of 8 soldiers led by Captain Miller, who's Tom Hanks' character. You know, he's the main character in the story. And, you know, when they finally, you know, they invade Omaha Beach, everything is kind of, you know, subsided, the danger's lowered. They're trying to learn what's next. They're waiting for their orders, and they have orders to save Private Ryan. His 3 other brothers.
His 3 other brothers had died.
His 3 other brothers had died, and like you said, Ty, you know, going back to that that interesting, you know, military rule that they established, you know, in the effort of trying to help a loved one who'd lost nearly their whole family. They called on Tom Hanks to take his squad and go deep in France and save Private Ryan. And, you know, the big part of this trip.
He's totally in the, he's in the shit. Like, he's in the depth of war. Like, he's not in a place where he can be easily, he's in there, you know? So it's like almost a death mission.
Yeah, so, like, trying to track him down is nearly impossible, and they have so much trouble trying to do this. And, you know, the majority of the story is them just traversing through France, trying to deal with the shit as it comes, like you said, Ty, because this is not an empty space. Germans are all over the place. No area is safe. And along their journey, they go into this French town. Let me see if I can pull up the picture here. They go into this French town, and it's been leveled. It's destroyed. And
it's totally destroyed.
Yeah, totally destroyed, decimated. And there's this family, a family of 3 residing in this building torn in half. And they're speaking French. They don't know what to do, and they're desperate. And they're trying to give their daughter to the Allied soldiers to save her. And Tom Hanks and the men, they don't want any part of this. But Vin Diesel, you know, out of his compassion or, you know, maybe his lack of kindness, sure, lack of maybe understanding that the depth of this, he grabs her and brings her down. And right when this happens, you know, unfortunately, he gets shot up really badly, and he's mortally wounded. He's on the ground. The little girl kind of trances off to safety, and he's bleeding out. And he's alone. There's a sniper in one of the church towers not far away, and the medics and all of the squad mates, they can't get to him, so he's bleeding out in this situation. It's one of the more difficult scenes to watch throughout the movie. So I was just kind of wondering, how did you guys feel about this sequence? Do you think that his decision to, you know, save, quote unquote, the little girl was justifiable one, considering the danger they were in? And do you guys think that the medic could have reached him in time before he died?
No, there's no way. And I'm sorry.
No, you go. Keep
I'm
going.
gonna say I think the sniper kept Vin Diesel alive.
He did.
Just
Mhm.
hoping that someone else will come. Just someone else will pop out there
Mhm.
in a second. But realistically, I don't know what his plan actually was. If this worked out, I'm just gonna carry this girl for 30 miles with me.
I think, in my opinion, like Vin Diesel's character in this scene, like, and this is a really hard, like, it's a really hard decision because you are trained and you are put into this situation where it's your life or another person's life. So it's like it's really like bare bones, cut and dry. Like either you kill someone or they kill you. And I think that in this scene, like his like I don't know, his humanity and his morals came out, and that it wasn't necessarily the best decision, but it really shows that like you can't train compassion out of people. You can't train the kindness and the the sadness and all that kind of stuff, because like in this moment, Vin Diesel's character, he saw a young girl and he thought about her more than his life. And even though that ended up getting him killed, like that is the sort of compassion that you really cannot, like, you can't train that out of someone.
Right.
And
Even,
so exactly. So it's like
the reason he. Oh, sorry. May I chip in real quick?
No,
Yeah,
yeah, go
go.
for it.
So the reason he was so attracted to her is because he mentioned that she reminded him of his niece. And he had like some kind of emotional reaction just flowing through him at the moment. So I think that's why he was so impulsive for taking her.
But like any human in that situation, like I don't care if you're in war, I don't care if you're afraid of your life, like that's why human beings are so amazing, is because we are able to push away the fear and the hatred and all the stuff that we hold in our heart and help out someone who we can tell that is like lesser than us, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that shows like a different part of war. Like, yes, like we are here to win, but we are also like in our own brains trying to distinguish whether it is okay to hurt this person or if it's not right. And I think that he decided it wasn't right, and even though that ended up getting him killed, like he did the right thing. He saved a girl. He saved her life.
Even adding to that point, think about what happened a few seconds before that. A father gave up his child to someone that he didn't even know, and they didn't even speak the language. Just here, take my kid. And back then, it's like, like we were saying before, we're trying to find Ryan. It's a needle in a haystack. There was probably a chance let's just say if this worked out, the father gave them and the kids went away, they might never see them again. And he chose I'd rather give my child to these random people than try to get them out myself, because I probably have no chance of doing it. So that's kind of crazy even more.
Well, Joe, you just made me think of something. This little girl could have almost been a scapegoat to get out of the mission to find Ryan. At least for Vin Diesel's character, this could have been that Ryan person. You know what I mean? Taking her back to safety could have totally changed the
could have been
the events that happened forward, right?
Could have been its own movie right there.
I mean, that's a totally different way to look at it, because like the average watcher of this movie looks at it like, what did you just do? Like, you're in a war, you like sacrificed yourself for this girl who's not even the same, like they're not even the same as you, and yet like he did it, so like
I think like what's particularly like polarizing about this scene is just how haunting it is. Whenever any of these main characters within this squad dies, it's really never graceful at all, and it's not something that's just glossed over, except one death, which we'll get to later. But when Diesel dies here, I mean, he's bleeding out and he's gurgling, he's struggling to speak, and he's slowly kind of begging for assistance. And I think what makes this scene particularly effective to care for this man, even though we spent very little time with him, was, first of all, of course, seeing him in this vulnerable state, but at the same time, looking at his friends and seeing their reactions as they sit there utterly, terrified themselves that they can't do anything. There's nothing they can do to save him here. And there was really no choice to get him in time. And I think that's something I really respect about Spielberg is he shows the impact it has emotionally across many fronts. It's not just him. It's showing the impact it has on those around him. Even the little girl, the way she reacts, and just thinking about it, she's gonna go home and she will never forget what happened here. Even this little situation at a young age, it'll stick with her. So I don't know, Wilkie, do you have any thoughts real quick before we move on to the next section?
I know it was hit on earlier, but yeah, that was a tough situation. I mean, it'd be hard, especially if you have somebody in a family that reminds you of her, or, if you think like, oh, what if that was my niece? I'd want somebody to try to help her out. So I could obviously see where he'd be torn there, but yeah, with the whole sniper, he purposely was leaving him as, he was trying to bait them out.
It's a huge bait because like we're saying, like that's a huge, like it's a decision whether like this is my platoon member and we've been running together for forever and I want to make sure that he's okay. But on the other hand, like if I go make sure he's okay, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm. I like what Megan just said here. This is Megan. Hey guys, I just looked at the drafting age, 21 to 35 years old in World War II. Do the Gen Z3 they think they could fight as they are now? Thanks.
No.
Great. Thanks for shouting us out, Megan. We're screwed. You too, World War Joe. You're in there.
What do you mean? I have asthma. I can't go to war.
He's past the threshold.
But I'll also say for that, maybe that was for draft, but 18 they could still they still could sign up. 16 and 17 with parent permission.
Wow.
Can you imagine
I thought we
parents?
saw way more young kids. Yeah, because that's weird to think it's 21.
So that might be with the draft piece of it, but there definitely were teenagers that were over there fighting and dying.
Oh my! I'm just thinking about in the future. I can threaten my son. If he doesn't do the dishes, I'll send him off to war.
Great.
Send you off to Mars, boy.
Well,
he'll do them dishes.
And isn't it now? Isn't it like 18 that men have to sign up for the selective service?
So.
Oh gosh.
Oh wow.
It's 18.
Okay, good. She's being nice. She's not dissing on us. We knew you weren't. And Nads is also here. Good to see you, Nads. Thanks for joining us.
Nadia, always being super nice to us.
And I also want to say hi to Proctophile. Hi, Proctophile. Good to see you.
Hey,
thanks for joining us.
But a great point you made, though, about the character development. Vin Diesel's character was in it for 5 minutes?
Yeah, barely any time.
Yeah, he's not a long,
And yet you know every single thing about him, and that's just great character development back then.
You can feel it. Like you don't even have to dialogue is not necessary. Like the dialogue in this movie, yes, there's dialogue between all the soldiers and the platoon and whatnot, but you could get rid of that dialogue completely. The feeling that you can feel from these people, the faces that they make, all that kind of stuff, you can tell these people are suffering. You don't need you don't need them to tell you that to understand that. But you don't need a whole monologue. You don't need a whole life story. You can tell that these guys are in the shit and they're just trying to keep themselves alive.
But when you have great directing and great writing, that's what's amazing. You can have a character that you have not been with that long and still care about them so much. And then I've seen other movies where you're with that character for 2 hours and you can care nothing
less
about them. You care nothing
give
about
a shit.
them. Yeah, and this one you got somebody for 5 minutes, and you're like, "What'd you just say?"
Is that familiar with Cabin in
that
the
reminds
Woods?
me of Superman and Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, both.
But it's true. It's amazing how good writing and good direction can pull at you with a character that you have not spent a whole lot of time with.
Spielberg so bad. I need a new Spielberg classic right now. Give it to me, buddy. Come on.
I don't know. Is he compromised at this point? It's hard to tell.
Oh, World War Joe, don't say it. I don't think he is. He's too good.
I'm thinking if this movie was made by Disney today, who's the comic relief? Who's in a secret relationship? But actually, really quick, can you go back one slide to the Tom Hanks picture really quick?
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah. The guy next to him, Tom Sizemore, from what I read, he had such a massive drug problem that they drug tested him every single day, and if he failed one time, they would reshoot every scene that he was in with someone else.
Yeah, Sizemore was like a degenerate addict. He was on his I think he was on a mix of drugs and stuff, but you're absolutely right. Like Seisman, he was held to a standard every single day, and if he did not get to that standard, he was gone. And it's like, that's kind of the crazy thing about these type of movies and these like actors and stuff, is like you would never expect for like Tom Sizemore to be a drug addict. He's in this movie, and yet he's a total loser. He's a total piece of shit.
If he was in a Tarantino or
I hadn't heard
Coppola
about
movie, that'd be encouraged.
Yeah. If he was in a Tarantino movie doing cocaine, would like benefit the shit out of him.
It's kind of amazing. Like I'm sorry, you're saying.
No, go for it. Go.
I was gonna say, like, this movie though, it has Vin Diesel in it that came out really great afterwards, and it had Nathan Fillion, who was in it for like 2 minutes, and look at his career afterwards too. So a lot of these guys really propelled themselves after this.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Wilkie?
I was just gonna say that I had not heard that story about him with it, but I could. That's very interesting. So if they drug test him, and so even if they thought everything seemed okay at the time when they're filming, they would go redo it. And maybe that was just them saying how serious they were taking this, and they wanted that like straight up and not messing around, no monkey business. And whether he was acting okay at that time, if they knew he was on drugs, they didn't want it in the film, the final product.
I mean, Tom, we can give you millions of dollars and you could be in a film, or you can do drugs. The answer is yours.
Right.
Real quick. Thanks, Joe Doe Juggalo.
John Doe, that's Jeff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jeff. So his name's Jeff, but his name's John Doe Juggalo.
Juggalo. Yeah, he's a big Insane Clown Posse fan. It kind of ties into that.
Nice. And he likes physical media. Thanks for joining us, man.
He's got
we appreciate you. And then Megan also, kids today thinking Tom Hanks is holding a selfie stick. That's hilarious. I love that. That's perfect.
They're like, no. That's not how you do the ducky lips. That's not how you do the ducky lips.
Guys, this is not how we make TikToks.
Oh gosh. Proctfall is wondering if the Gen Z 3 has seen 1917.
Opening night.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's a little overrated.
It's old. It's too old. That's my opinion on it.
It's not that old. What are you talking about?
Oh,
you mean like the time period?
Oh.
No, I'm
like
talking
World
about
War One.
Well, that, but also the movie came out like 40 years ago.
4? Wait, you said 4, right?
I think.
Yeah. Well, it's not that old.
2019.
In my standards, it is.
That was
this movie came out in '98, buddy.
I was 16 years old. Give me a little bit of slack.
Okay, yeah, we experienced these at weird points in time in our life, as I did with Saving Private Ryan. Let's move on to the next part, because this was only just one phase of the story. The next stop, unfortunately, is where we meet the demise of another important soldier within the crew, who is the medic here. The group, after losing Vin Diesel, they move further on, and they have an interesting encampment pop up. They notice that there's this German bunker that is outfitted with several German soldiers, and they have a mounted LMG, and they're kind of just waiting for some poor Allied troops to haphazardly wander right upon them. They're waiting to ambush some Allied troops. And Tom Hanks and his crew, they caught them by surprise. They didn't expect them. They didn't expect to see them, but the Germans didn't see them approach either. So they were sort of caught in the middle here. They weren't sure if it'd be a good idea to sway away from their main mission of trying to find Ryan, to do this or not, because approaching these Germans in this bunker, it's very dangerous. I mean, these guys are not equipped to take out a German bunker full of soldiers that obviously have the upper hand, but at the same time they didn't want some other poor brigade of Allied troops to get caught in the mix here. So they decide to do the selfless thing, and they charge the bunker. And it is a rough scene, but eventually they're able to kill all the Germans there, except one. And in the process, the medic here gets fired up. He gets shot, and he is dying. It has one of the more tragic deaths. It's really grim. He's
It's
bleeding
sad.
out. He's got his shirt off and he's crying for his mommy.
I mean, he's just in like absolute like distraught, like, and that's like one of the things that like I'll add on that like asking for mommy thing. Like we can see that like going back to the D-Day stuff. Like there's like I don't know if you guys remember this scene, but there's a guy like laying on the beach with his innards literally like out of his body,
yeah.
and he's holding on to it, just crying for his mommer, like crying for his mommy, like mommy, please, like come, like I need my mommy, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, that just in itself shows like you can be trained enough, but when you're in pain and when you're
Oh, sure.
dying, like
Resorting to a vulnerable side,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
No one dies heroically in this at all. No one's dying like, tell him I died. For
Only
like-"
only one does, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
And
most of these are very realistic deaths, and at the end, they, it's tragic what happens to them.
Well, so this isn't even like the main talking point. This happens, it's terrible. We don't really experience this character very much at all either, just like Vin Diesel. But what's also like particularly interesting is that the German that is, responsible for killing him and lighting all these guys up, he is still alive. And the group they're not really torn, but they're debating what they should do with him. Everybody really wants the German dead. They want to kill him for murdering their friend here. And if they don't kill him, the thought of him just, catching another German brigade and joining them to cause further harm is a big possibility. So Tom Hanks, he makes the decision alongside, I hate to, mention him as this, but, the more cowardly soldier. They're the only ones that sort of have a little bit of grace for the German soldier. I wouldn't even really consider it grace, but they decide to spare him. And this is where I wonder what you guys think. Why do you guys think that Tom Hanks decided to spare the German soldier? Why would he do this? Despite his whole crew being interested in the other. And do you think that it was a right choice to make? And do you also believe that this was the most critical scene in the entire movie? I know that's a lot to process. We'll break it down into pieces.
I think it's a lose-lose. Obviously, if you gun this man down, it's not war, it's murder. At this point, we're not we're just people fighting in this war. We are not the governments in control. We're just soldiers, just pawns on the chess battle board. And if they would have just gunned this dude down, it wouldn't have been right at all. As weird as that sounds, obviously they're shooting each other up in other situations, but giving up, you kind of have to just let them go, I think.
I will say, though, to just play devil's advocate, World War Joe, just because, to be the little, asshole or whatever.
That's you.
That is me.
That's not Wilkie. I would never say that's Wilkie.
But, yes, we see this scene where they decide they decide to spare this German soldier, right? They decide to not kill him and take him as like a prisoner of some sort or whatever. But I'm not sure, I can't exactly remember if this is before this scene or after, but there's this scene of two Allied soldiers, and there's two German soldiers who are like surrendering, like giving up. And they're speaking in what we think is German. And the Allied soldiers end up gunning them down and killing both of them.
I think that was earlier on.
It was in the D-Day thing, yeah.
Yeah. But it turns out that those soldiers were not German. They were speaking
Really?
They were speaking Czech. They were from the Czech Republic. And yes, I'm positive. And
That's
from what we've seen in German and Czech stuff is that a lot of the Czech Republic were put into these types of concentration camps and that kind of stuff, and were forced to fight along with the German soldiers. So in this scene, not to get nitpicky or anything, but if you go and you do the translation of what they're saying in German, they're not speaking German. They're speaking Czech, and they are literally begging these Allied soldiers not to kill them. And these Allied soldiers are what are you saying? I can't understand what you're saying. What are you saying? And then they just kill both of them.
Yeah.
So like that kind of shows the duality of like, yes, like these people are here to like keep America safe, but they're also not necessarily being the best soldiers that they can be.
Well,
So, like,
I'm curious to know if that is true, why he in the end would, reunite with the Germans, because we see him at the end, shooting down. I think he's the one that actually kills Tom Hanks in the end.
No, he's the one that stabs the.
yeah,
That's a
Adam Goldberg.
debate we'll talk about, because I'm curious
It's not
about that, because we just watched it again, and
know.
I don't know if it was Luke that point. No, Luke wasn't there. I was in the theater and I was talking to my girlfriend and her family, and we were trying to figure out if it was the same person. I don't even think it was the same person.
It
I
had to
think
be, because at the end he's like up him, and then he shoots him.
Well, yeah, but he's the one. So he joins the line, but he's the one that he joined the line, and I think he's the one that shot Tom Hanks. That's what I saw when I was in the theater, because I paid close attention to what that guy looked like that killed his name's like Memphis or something like that. The guy that got stabbed. That sequence, I looked at his face, and he looks different. He looks just slightly different. He looks a little more broad in his head. He's got more of a toe head.
Is there a chance that maybe he failed a drug test and then Spielberg got rid of him and hired someone else?
Maybe so. Maybe for that little sequence. Maybe it's supposed to be alluded that is him. I don't know.
I think it has to be, because he wasn't wearing a helmet. So usually, situations like that, he stands out. I want to hope that's him, because he let Upham live. He saw him on the staircase, like, hey, you let me live, I let you live.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I took it too.
I think it would make sense. We're gonna get to that a little later, because I'm curious to know why that soldier let him live, if that wasn't actually that same guy. Because I read somewhere that Spielberg spoke out about how he wanted to try to, in even just a little tidbit of a fashion, humanize some of the Germans. And I think that was, one signal of that. I also wondered if, like you mentioned earlier with Vin Diesel, when the sniper was, he didn't finish Vin Diesel when he had the chance. I was also wondering if maybe that was almost a sign of mercy, like giving him a chance. But no, Wilkie's saying no. I understand the baiting side, but
he wanted to shoot more soldiers. I mean, he was leaving. He was there crying, begging for his rest of his troop to come out and save him, and that sniper was just sitting there waiting for the next one to poke their head out.
And did you see his face? He was just like so merciless, and
so that's funny you say that, because I thought he looked kind of like sad. No,
am I the only one that played Fortnite here? You have to just gun him down, wait for the teammates to get him.
You can't keep your morals there, dude. Like, you're in war. Like, I think that's a huge thing, and like, I think everything that everybody said has kind of come back to that. Is like, when is it like right to be moral?
When
but
does
also,
war
like,
become
when is it right to just like kick all that shit out the door? Because like the reality of the situation is like either you kill someone or you get killed. So like there's not really that much room for moral. Like you kind of just have to do what you have to do.
So one of my pieces I take from this particular sequence where they decide to like give him mercy. I totally agree with you, World War Joe. I think it's like, these guys are humans. Tom Hanks is a person. He doesn't want to just murder somebody if he doesn't have to. And I think that like gets lost in translation when, these poor guys are so used to just a nonstop spree of murder and death around them. So I can see how maybe they lose sight of that. But also, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Let me take a look. 1 second.
I'll help you out though. I'll take over a little bit though. But I'm just looking at this thing about the German soldiers though. Yeah, we of course, history, Germans are really terrible, stuff like that, Nazis and things, but we have to understand that these are also just men drafted into war, who particularly probably don't agree with everything, and they're told, hey, here's a gun, get these people, or we'll take you and your family. What's your choice? So yeah, it's war is a terrible thing with it.
I remember what I was going to say now. So what I was trying to say was that, a lot of morals are kind of out of the window, because no matter what, you're going to be killing people. And no matter what, you're going to see things that no person should ever see. So one of the constants in life in this situation is law. And the law says, when a man surrenders, you take him in. Or if if a man surrenders, he is now your prisoner, and you're supposed to treat him humanely. So I feel like that's something that can remain a constant in somebody's life where everything seems to just be, non-purposeful because of the situation they're all in.
Or, I mean, let's just say they gun the guy down. Who's going to tell them?
Yeah,
That's why I've always said with the Geneva Convention, it would end wars faster if we didn't have it.
That's what you always said, Joe. Is that why you're called World War Joe?
On Facebook, I say that a lot.
You're a troll on Facebook. Well, so did you guys think, like, to me, this was one of the more critical scenes in the whole movie. Did you guys think that this segment had that much weight to it, or no?
Yeah, I
No?
think every scene in this is so well crafted that it ties in later on, because like the scene where they let him live, and then later on Upham has that moment with it, and it kind of changes some of the guys later on, because when they're talking to Ryan and he doesn't want to go, like, hey, we lost guys trying to get you. You're coming with us. People are literally dead trying to get your ass back home.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, like, to me, when I thought that it was particularly important because, this was, sorry, Ty, can you mute your mic when you type? It's a little loud.
My bad.
Yeah, you're cool. When I think about what could have happened here, if they decided, this crew, it was, very loose at this point. None of them were really that interested in this mission because, at the end of the day, it's not a mission I imagine anybody wants to go on in the war. It seems almost meaningless that you have to sacrifice a group of men in their safety, not just one guy, but, several guys to save just one person. And it seems, particularly hopeless also that there's no way to track him, and it's deep inside a foreign country you really have no familiarity with. And so I think they were, one second, I think they were their trust was already waning in the mission, and the fact that that this motion here was so far against what all of them were standing together on, it could have completely broken this group up. And as you saw, one of the soldiers was kind of rallying the other guys to leave the group if they chose to do this. And if it wasn't for Tom Hanks, leveling with them that, he's just some small English teacher that's not really supposed to be here, but is here because, he wants to make a difference and fight for his country, then it could have ended so differently at that point.
I have a question because I don't know anything about the military at that time. I know now we have tours where you go for a while and come back. Back then, did they have tours with this war? Or was it just you're there until it's over?
You're there until it's over or you die.
So they had to go on this mission to find a guy in the middle of nowhere, probably very little communication.
Not to mention that we have zero idea what this man looks like, because in the movie, multiple times we are like misconstrued. Like someone thinks that this is Private Ryan, but he's actually not. Like, it's so like, I don't know.
I'm watching the scene right now. His middle name is a different thing. They thought it was him. So
right.
It's like, I'm going to go on this mission to find some guy that might already be dead. And not only is he dead, you might not even find his body to prove it.
Or even even know who this guy is in the first place. Like, how can you even, like, if he is dead, like, how can you say for certain, oh, this is Private Ryan, I'm going to report back to his like family. Like, you can't do that.
Do you have any thoughts, Wilkie? Okay, good.
Well, I was gonna say they'd look for their dog tags, but yeah, if those aren't visible, that wouldn't be possible. But no, I forgot what you were gonna say. So.
We kind of went off on a little bit of a
That's all
tangent
right.
there. I was wondering, like, critical wise, do you think this was a critical moment in the film?
What piece
for
of it
like
specifically?
Oh, the the soldiers, they were waning on whether they should execute the German soldier or not, and the choice to let him be free, it nearly tore the group apart. Did you find it that way, or did you think it maybe wasn't that critical?
No, I could see that, where that was like a make or break moment for them sticking together. And I think with Tom Hanks, so to go back, I would say, and this could be a whole nother stream of argument, but I think morally you can defend your country and
Uh-huh.
I'll just leave it at that. I think morally you can defend your country, but I think that's where Tom Hanks comes in, where there's certain laws and orders to keep your, I think that's him trying to hang on to some of his humanity. You know, some of the normalness where this doesn't happen in everyday life, you know, like in your everyday, when he's back an English teacher, you would not, you know, be doing something, harming somebody like that. And so defending your country, that's called for. But then at a point where if somebody surrenders, I think that's him trying to hang on to some of his humanity to say, okay, this is where we draw the line. And now they're our prisoners.
I like that you mentioned that. I didn't think about that the code and the law was put in place to also protect the humanity of the soldier that would be making that decision, that would be, you know, doing that thing that could ruin his life.
I mean,
that's crazy.
Like this whole scenario, like, I mean, we can call it whatever we want, but like the reality of the situation is that these people are being forced into this war. They don't have an option. They don't get to say, oh, I don't like this or I like this. Like, they're just there, you know? And so it's like, yeah, like if these people survive, like, you need to kind of hold on to a little bit of humanity, because if they survive and they go back to their home or their town or whatever with no like humanity or whatsoever, like they're not going to be able to be like citizens of that community.
Well, and to accomplish anything either, I mean, you still got to have like a chain of command, and you got to have rules and laws that they're following, and not just a free for all, because you still have, when it's all boils down to it, they still need to be able to take an order and follow that. And that's part of the laws, part of the, you know, keeping. Yeah.
I just think
order,
it's hard to keep order when it comes to the whole, like the full, like aspect of war.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
How can you keep
so many
order
uncontrollable variables,
and people who take.
But I think that's the one thing you can control
and,
is your action. You know, like at that point, if you have somebody surrender, that's something you do have control over.
Right. They have given a honorary surrender. Like, that's not, you don't get to kill someone who has surrendered. Like,
but at the same time, I can't say that I'm not too good to be like, okay, you just saw how many dozens of your buddies die. I'd like to say that that's
true,
better than that, and I would follow that law, but I haven't had to go through the things that they did.
You never know until you're in it. I guess.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I wouldn't place any judgment on them just because I don't know what I would do.
I don't have any like reason to like put doubt or like disrespect on any of these people. You know, I'm just I'm speaking from what I think is.
Here's a little question I have about this segment too. So, you know, when all of this is happening, when they're before they let the German soldier go, which we see later in the movie, the Corporal Upham, he treats him really well, like strangely well. When I saw this again, I remembered he was a nice guy and that he was gentle. You know, he was just a gentle guy altogether. But, you know, he shared such a weird dialogue with the German guy. You know, he could speak German, and, you know, he was sharing a smoke with him. He was really cordial with this guy. And, you know, when I saw it again in theaters, it bothered me a lot more than I remembered. So do you guys have any idea why he was so kind and courteous towards this German guy? Because, I mean, this was right after he killed someone in his own crew. And he nearly almost killed him too. I doubt he would have had any mercy towards him if Upham was in his crossfire. So why do you think he was so sweet and nice to him, cracking jokes?
I think it's awkwardness, because I believe in that scene they were having him dig his own grave or something like that. So Upham would had to watch this guy. So at that point, it's like, you know, sometimes in like funerals or something like that, there's always people cracking jokes. It's just the awkwardness of it. So maybe that's just his defense mechanism. Whatever it is, I definitely don't fault him, because I don't want to have to be the guy that has to watch the dude digging his own grave. So
I didn't think about that, but I totally could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, you're good.
Oh, do you have something? Okay, something I was gonna say was, you know, after seeing this again, his character, I think he is probably the most interesting character in the whole movie, just because he's so different than everyone else. And we see a lot of these characters, I think, kind of grow through the experience, but he doesn't exactly grow until the very end after making a grave mistake, which we're going to get to, obviously. But
Right.
he, I think, I saw his interest in growing in a relationship with the other guys in the squad. I mean, there was 7 other guys beside himself, and he's trying to crack jokes with them. And I think he said that he was writing a book about like the brotherhood and camaraderie of
Yep.
men in arms.
Camaraderie of brothers.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't have any camaraderie with any of these guys. They don't respect him. They don't like him. And, this was a rare occasion where somebody was receptive to his charisma and to his interest in making a friend. So I think that's kind of a strange way to look at it. Is it like this German is the only guy that's actually kind of drinking the Kool-Aid and actually conversing with him? The other guys don't respect him at all.
I've never thought about that ever. I've seen this movie dozens of times. That really makes me think about it now. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Thanks,
if we can pull back a little bit before we proceed into the later points of the film or whatnot, I would like to just point out a couple of things during the D-Day scene in the early 20 minutes.
Sure.
I think that, so I'm very interested in the D-Day stuff and World War II and whatnot, like all that kind of stuff. I've done a lot of research on it. And when I was watching this D-Day scene, like there are a lot of things like that are like very, very accurate to the exact like historical timeline of the D-Day events. But I did want to point out like a couple of things. First of all, when the men are jumping out of the boat, like the gate or the drawbridge goes down or the gate or whatever, and they start getting shot at with machine guns and whatnot, a lot of the men jump into the water. We see a lot of the men jumping into the water and being killed very soon after that by machine gun fire. Something that I pointed out and I thought that was very like, it didn't follow like basic like physics is like, if you think about like Newton's law, like something in motion continues in motion. And I don't have the exact scientific like definition, so don't like do that to me or whatever. But a thing in motion continues in motion until it's stopped by a force or a certain force or whatever. These soldiers are 10 feet deep. They're 10 feet deep in this water. There is no reality where a bullet would be able to pierce someone's torso 10 feet down into water. The water would have stopped the bullet. It would have stopped the bullet. It would have made the bullet like completely like, it would have just stopped it completely.
You think they're 10 feet deep? I mean, they're pretty close to the shallow there.
That's what they said though. Like in the movies, they said that they jumped 10 feet deep. Not to mention that most of these people on these boats are young soldiers who are not used to seasickness or anything like that. So after the fact that they've been on this boat throwing up, like we said earlier, and being like totally sick or whatever, you don't really have the strength to like swim 10 feet up, especially with the 60 to 70 pounds of like guns and ammunition and all that kind of stuff that you have on your body. Like there would have been a majority of those soldiers that would have just drowned immediately. So I think that's a little bit like off the exact like historical story, but then again, we can come back to everything and we can say that like out of any movie that has ever existed, like this is the most accurate demonstration of the D-Day stuff, even if it's not exactly like to the exact like definition and point of history. Like this is still like, this movie is the most accurate demonstration of D-Day that we've ever seen. And that's that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal.
Definitely. Also, more importantly, probably the best World War II movie out there.
Absolutely. I mean, I can debate between this and Full Metal Jacket, but
I don't know. Man.
That's
I think
Vietnam. That's Vietnam.
Yeah. Do you guys think that Comparzo's letter got back to his family, Vin Diesel's character? Because I'm just watching it now, and yeah, he has the letter as he's bleeding out there. The medic takes the letter and he's
good
transcribing it. Yeah, he's transcribing it in the
Mm.
church because it's all covered in blood. So I forgot after he dies, I think Tom Hanks takes the letter. So I wonder if after Tom Hanks died, someone else got it too and bring it back home.
I imagine somebody, if they didn't grab it, they probably retrieved it off his body. Other Allied soldiers at some point. I'd hope. I imagine so. But let's move on to the next segment here, because no. Before we get into the next part of the story, I'm curious, just theoretically, or the idea. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are, because this whole movie, one of the, like I talked about earlier, the major question that the soldiers have to deal with is risking the lives of many, of 8 men worth the trouble to save just one man. So what do you guys think of that? Do you think that makes any sense? Is it worth it? Especially because, all these guys are in the same boat. Nobody here is better than anyone else. I imagine these guys have been in the army or whatever they are, the Marines, the army. They've been active duty for some time now, I imagine. And Ryan probably hasn't been in active duty that long, with him being, just a little private. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I feel like it would be worth it if Ryan was a hostage, because the dude's safe, I think, right? I mean, he's in a
to some extent, yeah,
right, to some extent. I mean,
he's not in total danger,
and he's not even part of their troop, right?
No,
I mean, he's not part of the troop, and
if anything, he's safe compared to them.
Right, it's not worth it. No,
they're going through the shit more than he is.
That guy was way out of line to hold a gun to the dude for trying to back down. He was not exactly a coward. He was trying to come to some sort of sense. I don't know. It was not worth it. No offense, Matt Damon. No offense.
I think that in the totality of this situation, yes, there's this ideal through the military that you need to keep this final family member alive to give some sort of I don't even know, just to end the thing, just to end the pain, just to end the confusion, all that kind of stuff. But this is war. We can't the prioritization of these different people, exactly what Jackson said. This is a group of 7 people that are going to find one singular person. Mm-hmm. Just because he's the last living member of his family and deserves to go home because of the military regulations or whatever, that doesn't mean that 7 different people deserve to risk their lives and die for this one person. It's kind of that same idea where it's you're on a train and you have to decide whether or not to kill the 6 people on the one track or the one person on the other track. You know what I mean? It's just this huge dilemma, and especially because these privates or whatever, they're not getting anything. They're just expected to go get this guy. They're not getting a Medal of Honor. They're not getting respect. They're not getting money. They're not getting anything like that. It's just the military said, go get this guy, and it does not matter how many of you guys die as long as you get this guy. So who's to say why should we even get this? Why should we even try to rescue this fucker? I'm serious. If all 7 of if all 7 of us are gonna die for one dude, how is that worth it?
Well, and I think that's what pulls the group in different directions.
Exactly.
For sure with that. Exactly. And then because I think that was even something that's said in there. It's why does he get the lotto ticket kind of thing? Why does he get the lucky draw to get to go home and we don't, kind of a thing? And but I could see where there'd be animosity there. I mean, if they've been living through all that, and they'd probably really like to go home too.
Mm-hmm. Well, my thoughts are, no matter what happens, this squad, if they're on this mission or not, they're there to follow orders of any magnitude. It could be, joining several platoons to unite, have an army of, several thousand. in a massive battle, or it could be something small. No matter what they're doing, it's just, there's so many variables at play that can, completely, ruin everything in their life. I mean, there's no chance at escaping, extreme danger in a foreign space you really have no control over. So I think that, this is just a mission like a lot of people probably had. A lot of people were put in similar dangerous situations, patrolling France, unaware of what's around them. And, this opportunity, it gave them further opportunities to do good as well. Like we talked about, going into that, the French village or the city where they attempted to rescue the little girl. I mean, they rid that area of the Germans, I believe. So that was something good they did. That further saved more Allied troops when they trudged through there. Same for the time when they attacked the bunker, the German bunker. They didn't have to do that, but you know what? They had the upper hand to some extent because the Germans didn't catch them. They couldn't ambush them because they didn't see them coming. That probably saved a whole battalion of men somewhere else, and it only risked one of their men's lives. So I think that there's some justification just for it being war, and they're going to have orders to do something dangerous either way.
Oh, for sure. And I wasn't saying that I didn't think it was worth it. It's just, it made for, I could see where the division starts happening, or the questioning of it starts happening with the men and that are selected to go do that. So yeah, it makes for a good movie. I mean, because you can definitely see both sides of that when they're struggling with this in a horrible situation.
What are you thinking, Joe?
I think obviously you guys said so much about it, but I think it comes down to how well can you sleep at night, knowing that you could have saved this guy. Because I was watching the scene where the mother's doing her dishes and the car's coming down. That's a long ass road that she has to watch this car come down there and then think, okay, which one of my sons are dead? And of course, the people in the military are looking at the letters like, okay, we could just say screw them, or we can help the family's pain. And the guys could have easily said, okay, well, we can choose to not do this. But I guess it just comes down to, would you be okay at the end of the day knowing that you could have helped out? And I mean, they did go and help out, and then they were a very important piece to the final battle. So if they weren't there, these dudes all would have died, most likely. Yeah, 100% they would have all died. So it's just a matter of, yes, it's a little bit crazy going after one guy, but look at all the good they did. They stopped the bunker, and then they were there for the final battle. So in the end, it's not just one man they're saving at the end.
They're saving so many people.
And they were pivotal to that final battle.
That's kind of the entirety of wars, that yes, so many people might be sacrificed, but it's for the greater good of man. You're sacrificing yourself and other people in order to keep other people alive, and that's the whole point. Yes, nobody knows who's gonna die, but the whole goal is to protect your fellow soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get to the chat real quick. Oh, did you have something, Joe?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to mention that we're talking about how, Ryan's not part of their group. They really don't know him. They don't owe him anything. The scene where they're looking through the dog tags and they're there sitting there and they're joking and stuff like that. It's one of those things where if Ryan was with them, they wouldn't be joking. I mean, if one of the soldiers that died had the dog tags there, they weren't joking around about that at all. It's just one of those things where if you're kind of disconnected from it, you can kind of say, sure, I won't do it. But if you're with them, I guess it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boica, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. You're new here. Boica 462. If you've served, you know why. Then he says, let's see. It's not about one person. It's about preserving the American ideals no matter what.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like I said, yeah.
Let's
I
see.
think that you're totally on track. I mean, I will bring it back again to this this whole the statement of morals. It's would you rather you're in a train car and you have two decisions. You can run over 6 people or you can run over one person. What's the decision that you're gonna make? No decision none of those decisions is a good decision, but like
Mhm.
what's best for preserving the American ideals and American life and like all that kind of stuff.
I'm
Well,
just
yeah,
saying,
and-
I would rescue you guys if I had to.
I'll rescue
Oh,
you,
thank you,
Joe,
Will.
and I'll give you a hug.
We appreciate
Nice
that.
warm hug. And Wilkie,
There
I'll
you
give him a
go.
big warm hug.
There you
And I'm
go.
gonna take his Blu-rays. I'm gonna take all of them.
No.
I want all the Blu-rays and the
Cross the
4Ks.
line now, man. Cross the line. Cross the line.
Ty and me, we're gonna loot
Yep.
the lot.
There we go.
You'll help me out.
That's why I don't need to let you figure out where I live.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
You already said Iowa.
I know,
There you
right?
go. Where's the
Narrowed
next
it
step?
down.
It's only a matter of
Polka.
time.
And he makes a good point, Boca 462. Can you see that though? Can you really put yourself in their position? No, we
No.
can't. We
No.
can't. You know, we can only
No.
comment as an audience member, like all of us who haven't served. So
And
Me
if there
sitting
was,
here on my
if there
underwear
was
on the couch
ever,
now.
if there was ever a situation where people our age were being drafted to a new war or anything, like I can say for certain, like I would be terrified. Like absolutely terrified. Like if there was a situation where we need to be drafted and I'm like a 22-year-old like young adult, like that's terrifying. So like yeah, boycott, like I totally understand what you're saying.
our
Like
friend Patrick's here. Jawa Star Wars collector. Jackson, my brother. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, bro. Good to see you, man. Cool. Oh wow. Proctophile. He's got some words here. I put myself between violence and another person, but that's nothing compared to what veterans have to face. Man, hope you're all right, Proctophile. Don't start any fights. Keep it cordial, Proctophile. No fights with Wilkie or particular critic. I saw you in the chat earlier. But let's
be fine
get
with me.
to. He's not fine with you. All right, good. We're good then. Let's get to the final act. Now, this was a large sequence. This was like I would consider probably the biggest battle of the whole movie, really. At least the most of the spectacle, I'd say. The men finally reunite with Private Ryan, and to their dismay, they go through just absolute hell to find him. Like we've discussed, they've lost several of their squad mates. Everyone's miserable. They really don't like Ryan at this point. But, they've decided to follow through, and they eventually find him at Ramel Bridge. And he's actually with the 101st Airborne Division, which is the same from Band of Brothers, if you like Band of Brothers. So that was pretty cool.
That's actually good. Like just real quick, good for bringing that up, Jackson. Because that's a big connect that like I was only able to like. I didn't even see that until my last watch. I'm going to be completely honest. Like,
I thought it sounded familiar. But yeah, I love Band of Brothers, so it stood out. But yeah, so while they weren't expecting that Ryan would be so he was very uninterested in leaving at this point in time. He put up quite a fight because, I respect his ideals here and his fortitude, because this is a ticket home. No guy wants to be here, obviously. It's just terrible, especially the situation Ryan is in here. He's defending this bridge, and it's a pivotal part of the map here in France, because it's a bridge that pretty much, if the German takes it over, it'll give them access across the Meurthe River, which is one of those pivotal portions of the map where these Germans are going to be able to bring their tanks and their armored vehicles right through the lines to further affect the Allies' invasion. And that's the last thing these guys want. There's only a dozen of these paratroopers defending this bridge at this point, and they're waiting for reinforcements. And Miller, Tom Hanks and his squad, they had to make a decision. Either they abandon Ryan here, they grab him and take him, without his consent, or they stand by and assist in defending the bridge until further reinforcements come to secure the position. Unfortunately, the reinforcements do not show up in time. The Germans, they are mounting an assault. They're not exactly mounting an assault. They're preparing to cross the bridge, and they don't expect there to be any sort of resistance at this point in time. They're not exactly proceeding with caution. So they mount they're taken by ambush to some extent. There isn't many men here. I mean, what do you have? You have the dozen from the 101st Airborne, and then you have, I think, what is it, 6 remaining men with Tom Hanks' group. That's not a very big, platoon of soldiers to defend a pivotal position like this. And even worse yet, there's barely any ammo, and there's not really much explosives around the place either. And they're going to be dealing with big, Panzer tanks. So they had to resort to some guerrilla warfare methods to defend this position. And this is where we just get an insane battle that takes place here. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think just overall of this final act and the battle at Ramel Bridge?
Oh, 10 out of 10. It's absolutely perfect. Like you said, the guerrilla warfare, they're using the environment around them. They got the sniper up in the tower. They're putting the grease on the grenades to stick to the tanks and everything like that. They are completely hopelessly outnumbered. But I love everything that led up to it before. I like my point before saying that. How well do you sleep at night? Ryan leaving, in a week's time, would he have regretted it? If Tom Hanks and the boys would have left, would they have regretted it? So it just, this scene hits on so many aspects more than just the actual fighting, which was absolutely awesome to me.
I think that absolutely I agree with World War Joe 100%. I think that they, in it, maybe not a popular opinion, but I think that this fight was kind of undermined. There were so many things that occurred during these specific, like not this specific fight in general, but like in other fights in World War II and whatnot. There was this, I don't know if you guys know, but there was this genius idea. The Allied forces created tanks and military trucks that were made completely out of balloons, like they were blow-ups, and they would place them in these high risk areas, and the Germans would mistake them for real tanks and real military trucks, and they would bomb them and shoot at them and waste all their ammo when it turned out to just be a blow-up, like basically a fake. So like in this sense, like this fight is amazing, but they lacked on certain historical events and historical situations that kind of really helped the Allies succeed and win this war. But overall, amazing fight. I just have to be a nitpicker. That's my thing. I'm sorry.
I don't think that would look kind of ridiculous. I think in this story, if that was like
That's
an
true.
aspect that was
That's true.
that
That's
they
just
did.
historical.
But yeah, sure. I can't imagine. I mean, that's what's so crazy about World War II is just how many stories there are, just infinite stories to tell about this. And of course, this is majorly fictional. But something I thought was particularly interesting about this final act here was the limited resources in a dire time where hell is literally unleashed upon these guys, where there's just an unlimited amount of Germans approaching them, and they're completely outgunned and outmanned, and they don't have the proper resources to fend them back. And I always think that's like, it's such an interesting angle because it it touches on horror, the horror of not being able to have simply the resources to defend yourself and in such a dire situation like this. And I think this movie and this final act really beautifully displays that. And I think that's something I always imagine is one of the greater fears, is not having enough ammo to suppress the enemy. And there's already just a insurmountable amount of villainy and destruction that's about to await you anyway, and you don't even have the means to defend yourself. So I thought that was of course, that's what stuck out to me most about this, about the battle segment.
Real quick, just to add on to that, because you sparked a little idea in my brain, like the idea about this, like the lack of like support and ammo and all that kind of stuff. Like this entire thing is like completely like you cannot predict it. It's unpredictable. Mm-hmm. So not only are you worrying about the unpredictability and like what is going to happen, but also you have to like ration the only like weapon that you have. Because like when you run out of that ammo, you're done. Like you're getting overrun. There's nothing you can do. Like people are hitting you from far range. Like you're done. So like the fear of rationing your ammo is like insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
Well,
yeah, like,
all of this
jeez,
leads
man.
to one of the biggest issues with this entire event, which was Corporal Upham and what he did. Of course, we have to talk about this scene because, during this whole segment, he, of course, wasn't the squad, both teams of men, the 101st and Miller's squad. They were not expecting him to be an active fighter here. He was the ammo boy. He was going to bring the ammunition and get it to the men when they needed it. And, he was the runner. He'd run it to all the different groups at certain points. And you could see just how loaded he was here. And unfortunately, during this scene, this is one of the, probably the most difficult scene to watch in the whole movie. Upstairs, he has all this ammo. What is his name? Melshi or Massini? There's two Allied soldiers upstairs, and they've run out of ammo. And Germans have crowded the stairwell, and one of them has breached the space. And the soldiers, they battle each other, and they're it's just very, very violent here, going at each other, picking at each other's eyes, and biting, and eventually the soldier on the bottom there, he has the German, he has him in a vulnerable position, but it's quickly switched around, and the table turns quickly, and the German unfortunately kills the Allied soldier here, which we've been following since the very beginning. He was one of the most recognizable soldiers in the film. And I think, of course, this was always one of those movies I think everybody is just completely disturbed by. I don't think it's really one of the hardest scenes to watch in the entire movie, if not any war movie I've ever seen. It's particularly graphic. And, while all of this is happening, you have Upham down here, and he's completely frozen, and he does not have any clue what to do here. He's frozen in fear. And I guess I was just kind of wondering what you guys thought of this scene and what you made of this entire sequence with his character, and what do you think exactly happened to him here?
I think we all thought the same thing. We were all like, come on, what are you doing? Come on, get up there, you coward. But
You're in war, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, but after a while, I was really thinking about it, and we kind of talked about this briefly at the beginning. You kind of feel for him. I mean, this is like a lot of veterans, like you said, Jackson. A lot of veterans probably respected this guy because this is the true reality. I mean, it's terrifying. You are expected to go up there and shoot somebody dead. And this guy wasn't even meant to really hold a gun, really. So that's a lot. That's just like any of us, a civilian, picking up a gun and having to being forced to kill somebody. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I think that exactly going off what Luke said, and I think I prefaced this a little bit at the beginning in the earlier parts of the live stream, but you can't train personality out of someone. Yes, this guy was put into the military, and he was trained how to use a weapon. He was trained how to do all this type of stuff. But when it really comes down to it, this is how a human being should react. This is how a normal human being should react to this type of thing. You are being told that you need to go up to this top tower and kill someone, shoot someone, kill someone. You're not there's certain people who are built for that, and there's certain people who are not built for that. But the reality of the situation is that during the draft, you don't get a choice. So even though these people are forced into the draft, and they're forced into learning how to use a firearm, and they try to act hard, or all that kind of stuff, the reality of the situation, when you are in the scenario where you have to kill someone, you are actively murdering another human being. That's not easy. No one thinks that's easy. And if someone says that that's easy to do, they're either lying or they're crazy. So I think this scene is really, really amazing to me, because we get to see the reality, exactly what Luke was saying, the reality of a human being who is not meant for this type of thing. No one's meant for this type of thing. No one's meant to go out onto the battlefield and kill people. And yet we're forced to do so because that's the world that we live in. But yeah, like no matter how hard you act, no matter how hard you think you are, like when you're in the face of murder, like you're gonna cry. Like I would cry. I would not be able to do this. You know, like that's one of the reasons why this scene hit so hard for me is because I feel for this dude. I would never be able to do this. I would be in his exact position, crying on these stairs because like what? Like I have to murder someone? I have to kill another person because someone told me to do so? Like no. It's insane. That's so hard to choose.
And
It's
correct
an
me if I'm wrong.
impossible choice.
Did the Germans like spare his life? Was that the
Yeah,
German-
so that's what's weird that happens is the guy that just killed the soldier upstairs, he comes down and he just completely ignores him here, Upham. And you guys make the claim that it's the same guy from earlier.
Oh,
in the
it
movie.
has to be.
I just don't. Let me see if I can.
I don't
all right,
remember.
Let's watch
Sorry.
the
You guys,
movie.
you know
What
what?
do you-
Here,
what are you
I'm
talking
gonna
about?
pull up some pictures. Just
It's
give
a-
me a second. You
it's
guys
a-
talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I can say with this scene, with the utmost certainty, as I'm sitting here on a brand new couch drinking chocolate milk out of a Mickey Mouse cup, I would have saved that man.
So way to go.
Dude's got his priorities straight. World War Joe, I respect the shit out of you, dude. Brand new couch, a cup of chocolate milk in a Mickey Mouse glass, dude.
I paint the
Listen to
picture.
everything you say.
But as Jackson was saying with that scene, it's just I think the creepiest part about it is how slow it happened. It wasn't like a super kung fu fight. It was just two dudes scraping and clawing, and the knife scene, it took forever for him to finally die, and that was just the eeriness of it.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna prove you boys wrong. Get ready for this. You're gonna be wiping your tears after this, Joe. Give me one second. All right, sharing tab, saving. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see the picture?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the guy that was upstairs. You see him here?
Yep.
And here's the guy from the earlier part of the movie.
It's the same guy.
No, it's not. Look, they're different.
That might be the same guy.
Same
Those
guy,
are two
dude.
different brothers. Those are not the same
No,
dude.
it's the same dude.
Look, it
because
literally
it's
says
the
Saving
same
Private Ryan, the
dude.
Waffen SS soldier, is commonly mistaken for Steamboat Willie, despite being two different characters. Now, I don't know if that's accurate, but those
I
don't
don't
look
think
like
that's
the same
accurate
dudes
at
at
all.
all. Look, they don't
They
look anything
really
alike.
similar, though.
Nah, not really. Look, what are some?
I think you might actually be right. That might not be the dude.
You know what?
Go to
Looking
another
at their
picture real
like,
quick.
Wow, that kind of ruins it for me. That might not be the dude.
Go to the other picture.
Okay, let me see. There's not many pictures of the guy. I
The
mean,
top
here-
left. Yeah.
this one.
Mhm.
Well, it's kind of small. Here's
haircut.
another one. There you go.
Same hairline, I mean.
It's not. They have different hairdos.
Same hairline.
It's same hairline, but their hair is
Yes.
different. They're right
then-
next to each other.
Son of a bitch, that's not the same guy.
That's oh my
No,
god,
I
dude.
don't think that's him.
15
different,
years
dude.
later. 15 years later, I realized that's not the same fucking dude.
This is why you listen to Box Office Brawler.
Hey,
As
I
an
haven't
angry-
learned
Learn that
as an
lesson
proven
once,
yet.
just follow that.
I don't know. As an
Man.
angrily married man, I could admit when I'm wrong. That might not be the guy.
Nice. All right, how do I get this off? All right, let's see. Here we go. So, okay, so now that is settled, this is not the same guy. This is a different soldier. So why did he spare Upham in that
That's
scene?
even
then?
worse. He looked at him and was like, "Oh, this guy's a wimp. He didn't even want
just
to
not
bother
kill him.
wasting it." Yeah, that's what it was.
Hmm.
But you know, Matt Damon actually didn't go through basic training with them. That was
He
actually
did or
things-
didn't?
He did not, and that was what Spielberg did purposefully. He didn't have them. He had all the other guys go through the grueliness of it, but he had Matt Damon not do it. So there was some actual animosity that he wanted to have that portrayed on the real screen.
Well, that's weird. Cool. Yeah, I heard that the rest, like a big number of the cast got involved with some pretty extensive like training from like actual veterans. It was pretty cool. I always appreciate when they go for like accuracy, right? Make it as authentic as possible. It seems like there's just so little of that nowadays.
I think that like that if we're talking about accuracy, like that scene, like the very very first scene of Saving Private Ryan where Ryan's like old and he's visiting the cemetery and all that kind of stuff, like that is so like that's what my grandpa did before he passed to like commemorate his fallen like soldiers and all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like that in itself, like that hits home to every person who's ever dealt with pain, loss, war, all that kind of stuff. Like that is the most accurate depiction of like respect and like pain at the same time that I've ever seen in any movie ever. You know what I mean? Like you can really feel it. And that's only the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
When you see that cemetery, there's a lot of graves there. And it's like these were all people that had families and probably were drafted and just got sent to this.
It really puts it in perspective, like how many people like sacrifice their lives to our greater good and all that kind of stuff. Like that in itself is just wow.
Who do you think had like the like which of the characters' deaths was the most impactful for you guys? Because everyone by the end of the movie died except Upham and Ryan. I think those were the only two.
Yeah, Upham and
which
Ryan.
of the characters' deaths stuck out with you the most and maybe impacted you?
I think Vin Diesel, because like I didn't even think he got shot. It didn't really make a sound. He kind of just collapsed to his knee, and I feel like he had more to the film. He was very compassionate, and it was pretty sad because he could have made more of an impact in the film, in my opinion.
It would have been kind of interesting to see what would have happened if he did survive and how much impact it would have had later, especially the medic too, because you know a lot of the deaths in this, if they would have made it, it would have been massively. I mean, at least it's another gun to the final
All
battle.
I needed
so
to
who
do
knows?
is call his family, and then that would have the whole movie. Call some family. I was just waiting for that. I knew it was not going to happen. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Rolling up in the car in World War II.
What about you, Joe?
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe the sniper because he saw that tank pointing at him. It's like he knew it was over, and he looked at the other guy and told him to jump out of that thing. It's like he knew it's what am I going to do at this point?
That was sad. You know, that was kind of one of the only deaths that was kind of to me glossed over more than the other ones. I thought that one and that was like the least brutal of all the main squad mates. Oh, sorry, continue.
I was gonna say I like when the bell tower exploded and Tom Hanks looked up there, and as he's reloading, he keeps looking up there like, is there a chance he survived or just, you know? But he knows, he knew.
What were you saying, Luke?
That was a sad moment right there. That was
that sucked. It sucked, man.
Yeah.
He was awesome. He was a great character. That guy, I've seen him. I think he was also in We Were Soldiers. He was a journalist, I believe, in We Were Soldiers. I feel like I've seen him in one other war movie as well. He was great. I enjoy that actor, younger guy. Barry Peppers. Wow. Yeah. That's a cute name. Peppers.
My wife's a big fan of my wife's a big fan of the movie Crawl, where he gets his arm bitten off by an alligator. So I see him a lot in our household.
Oh, he's in. Is he the dad in that?
He's the dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't realize that was him.
Oh man, I didn't know we had fans of this movie here.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm in the right chat.
Yeah.
Good little twink dink.
Wilkie, the question is, do you own Crawl?
Yeah, I do.
Oh. Man, nice.
Can you find Crawl?
Yeah.
Is it alphabetized?
Nice. You're making poor Wilkie get up, Joe. Nice job.
I was hoping he would know right where it was.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
That's how a man understands his collection. Yeah. We can't hear you, Wilkie.
I know. I had the mute on. It is alphabetical, but we were doing a creature feature live stream, and it might be right.
Oh, yeah, show us
Oh,
Crawl.
come on. I thought it was right here.
Yeah, I stopped alphabetizing my stuff after my cat jumped on our armoire and everything fell off.
It was the very bottom one of this stack. Oh, no.
Joe, if you ever want to get rid of your 4Ks and Blu-rays, you could just ship them right to me, buddy.
Yeah, Jackson will take them. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Got the sticker on it.
That's
and
a
everything.
good one.
I hadn't put that away yet. I have a whole
really
stack
movie,
of
actually.
creature feature ones. Yeah, it's
Didn't
What other
Sam
creature
Raimi
features
direct
did you
that?
have? No.
I don't think so.
Oh,
right.
I thought he directed some movie similar recently. I'm tripping balls, I guess. For me, all the deaths were tough, especially, of course, this guy here. But I thought Tom Hanks, it hit me the hardest because, we followed him and I think we got to understand his character more than most of the others, other than Upham. I think him and Upham were the two that we dived into more greatly than anyone else. And I think, just seeing him, as we learn about who he is, he is a gentle soul, and he's a leader. He cares for his men, and seeing that made him such a compassionate, influential character that I looked up to. And seeing what happened to him by the end, he was so close to getting home to his wife and retreating back into that peaceful life that he longed for, and it didn't happen. Yeah.
I think that like, in my opinion, this is a little bit different than anybody else that's said anything, because y'all have been talking about the main cast, which of course is all their deaths, including Tom Hanks' death, is very they're very like painful, and like you really feel for these people. But the deaths that I really stuck out with, the things that really stuck out to me, more importantly, like a singular person, and I think I brought this up a little bit earlier, is like the guy who is like on the beach during D-Day with his organs exposed, and he's just like crying out for his mother. Like he is just reverted back to his most basic senses and like needs and all that kind of stuff. And like when I saw that, like when I rewatched the movie a couple days ago, and I saw that guy who's like obviously done, like he's not surviving this, he's not, like, he's been blown up, like he's in a really, really bad spot, like it almost made me like tear up. Like the fact that this man has put himself on the line for his country, and he is laying on this beach completely like incapacitated, like it's just a matter of time before he passes, and the only thing that he cares about is his family and his mother and like all that kind of stuff. Like that hit me so hard. And like we see that like a couple other times during the movie, but like he's literally screaming like, I want my mom, like I want my mama, like all that, like that is horrible. Like nobody should ever have to be in a situation where they're like on the brink of death and they don't even get to see their mother. Like,
well, Boic, yeah, he makes a good point here. The parsing of family and war, the balancing of family survival and the debts of war.
Right.
Yeah. It comes back to that, really, right? That's what we all care.
Boic, that's a great intuition.
Yeah. Parkfall is wondering if any of us have been to the memorial sites in Washington, D.C. No, I haven't.
I have a couple times.
I have. Oh. I've been twice.
Wow. Nice.
I went once. Sorry, you go.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, my father took me when I was like a sophomore in high school. And then a few years back when it's probably been more than a few years back now, but when my kids were younger, I took them out because I wanted them to see a lot of that.
It's a really amazing thing to see. I saw it, so I've been able to see it twice, and I'm only 22, so like I'm not even that like old, but I got
You're so old.
I know. I got to go to DC when I was in middle school for a Washington DC trip, and that was one of the things. We saw the memorials along with the Holocaust Museum, and that was like it was very important to me even as a middle schooler. And then in high school, I was able to go again with my family, and it was like even more memorable then because I was older and I understood more and I understood the scope and the entirety of all this kind of stuff. And so like it's a really amazing place to go, and like if any of you guys haven't been, like it should be on your guys' bucket list. Like it's amazing, it's beautiful, it's very, very sad, but it's very beautiful.
That was one thing I got to see with the second time we went, because the first time I went, they did not have the World War II memorial. And so the second time I went, they had that. And just with both my grandpas serving, being different parts of the world for World War II, but I'm glad I got to see that.
Were they represented there?
I mean,
like
it was
their name somewhere?
No, because
as
I
much
think on
as possible.
that one, I believe with the states, it's No, I mean, no, their names are not
Okay.
on there anyway. But there are the World War II memorial. There's the different states that are listed around there. So our state is on there. But just knowing later, they never would. Like I said, they wouldn't talk about it. But then later, just my interest studying and like digging into it more, having a more and more of a respect, I guess. I always respected them, but as a young kid, I didn't. I never would fully understand. But I'm trying to figure out the right words here. But the respect grew because as I grew older, I could dig into that more, read about it more, and find out more of find out more reasons why they wouldn't talk about that.
And the thing that's so amazing with the World War II memorials and the Vietnam memorials is like over the decades that these things have occurred, there are just more and more ways to actually like figure out who these people were. Like there were so many undocumented people who had passed away during World War II, like Vietnam, all that kind of stuff, because their dog tags were unrecoverable and all that kind of stuff. But as technology has progressed and improved, like we're able to really figure out a lot more of these people and their abilities and what they did and all this kind of stuff. And so all of these memorials are constantly being updated, even if it's just a big like piece of like limestone that has 1,000 names on it. Like they're still making an effort to update these things. And I think that's like genuinely amazing. Like that's kind of just shows like the importance and and the amazing ability of our country is the fact that we are even in the future of these all these things, we're still able to like give the utmost respect and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And that's what I got to see when I went for the second time, was like there were so many more names on that memorial than there were when I went the first time.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you guys, obviously this is when people talk about war movies, Saving Private Ryan is always, if not the first mention, especially for World War II, it's easily top 3. So what do you think is like the special sauce? Why is this movie so highly regarded? And, why is it that it's the one that comes to mind when people think of like, the highest quality of war movies that have come today?
I feel like it doesn't censor anything really. And it shows how the realism.
I would totally agree with Luke. Like, I think first of all, this movie has an amazing cast of actors, especially at the time that this movie was made in 1998, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like the majority of these actors that were starred in this movie, like Tom Hanks, Vin Diesel, there's so many more Damon, Matt Damon, like all that kind of stuff. Like that in itself, like I genuinely believe that a film is only as good as its like actors or the characters that are
actors, writers, and directors.
Exactly. Not to mention exactly what Luke said, where like this is probably the most historically accurate war movie that has ever been made. Like, yes, like I can try to point out all of the like, oh, this is not accurate, blah blah blah, whatever. But like when it really comes down to the meat and potatoes of this whole movie, like this is the most like not only historically accurate movie, but it also focuses on the most important and like valuable parts of World War II. Like D-Day, like that is, everybody knows what D-Day is. Everybody.
And the soldiers' response, right?
Absolutely.
And seeing their emotional reaction and experience going through these
kind of out of this
these
world.
obstacles.
Like it's honestly kind of crazy that these actors were able to put themselves in this situation where I genuinely feel like they are in war, even though this movie was made 55 years after the war actually happened.
What do you think, Wilkie and Joe? Okay, it is.
I think the realism of it, they weren't glamorizing a lot. I mean, they were telling it. They were especially that opening scene, like I said, like when they cut out the score, there's no music. You're just hearing the bullets, the men. And so I think the realism of it and the respect that they paid, how they made it, how they wrote it, and the characters and showed it all.
But definitely jumping off from that though, when you remove all the obviously the historical accuracies of it, the real trauma the guys went through, this is a badass movie. Like these action scenes are awesome. Like they play. I'm watching right now. I'm watching Jackson just sniping people and everything like that. They're smacking grenades on the ground and throwing them at it's an absolutely
it's epic. It's
awesome
an action
movie.
film.
Like when you remove all the this is truly a tragic thing going on here. It's just dudes being dudes, just going to war. And
I mean,
that's something we have not been talking about this whole time. We've been, getting into the sad aspects of it, but you're right. This is an action movie. It's exciting, epic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and like Spielberg is like the only director that has the ability to make a movie with this amount of like chaos. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, and it seems like a lost, as weird as it says. Like I'm watching a lot of old movies with my wife. She sometimes watches the movies like this is when like guys were guys in movies. Like there's no obviously Upham, he's carrying around the typewriter, he's kind of wimpy and stuff like that. But most of these guys, like they're ready to go. There's no fear in most of these people's eyes. They are dealing. They're staring down the gun of 1,000 guns. They're way outnumbered and everything like that. And they just go to work with this. So.
Joe, take me back to the time when they made a man's movie for a man. Because I want my movies made for me, damn it. And I want it now. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of going back and watching old stuff. I love it, but I want something new that we can take and own as young men, Gen Z, going to the theater to respect that now. And we're just not getting it. I want inspiring stories of men, young men, whatever else, in modern time doing great things on the big screen. And we're not getting it. I'm sick of it. That's what's so great about us going back and watching all this old stuff, because they had it. They had the secret formula, and we completely lost it. It's utterly shattering.
I'm looking at the movies coming out in 2026. I'm thinking is Timothy Chalamet 90 pounds soaking wet? Is that really the toughest dude out of all these movies right now? It's like I don't know, man.
He's catering to He's catering to the female audience, and that's what, like, God forbid,
catering to the female
don't cancel
audience.
me, but like a 95-pound dude with wet ass hair, like that is not an alpha male character. Like that is catering towards women, and unfortunately, a lot of the movies recently are not necessarily catering towards.
We got him. We got Spider Twink coming out. It's like you're right. There's no.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, Spider Twink. I'm excited. You're not excited for Spider Twink?
He sucks, man.
What about Warfare?
So yeah, Procfile is right. Warfare was great. That was a rare occasion, but I don't know. That wasn't. To me, Warfare was more about seeing like the like sort of going into like a super analysis of military tactics, and that was really exciting. And seeing a raw horrifying image of what these brave men endure. I don't think it's like necessarily an inspiring story to uplift young men like I would like to see, kind of like Saving Private Ryan, because that's something I would love to see. I'd love to see an inspiring movie that makes me want to get up and do something to join a cause. But that's a great example, though, for sure. Well, actually, I don't really remember where we were anymore. we went off on such a tangent.
Moved on a tangent.
We've talked about a lot. About a lot.
Oh, wait.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll pack it up. We'll pack up soon. There's one of the last few questions I have is, when you guys were watching this movie, who did you think this old man
Tom
was?
Hanks.
Yeah.
Because they fooled you. They had this guy here in a transition to Tom Hanks for some reason.
Oh, you're right. That's what gave it away. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe at first, when I thought about it, like when I was thinking about it just before I watched it again, I was thinking, was it like a older, like, was it what's his face, Matt Damon, like makeup up? But no, obviously not. This is a literal old dude.
I think that yes, we saw Tom Hanks' character pass, like we saw him die.
Mm-hmm.
But and this just might be me being the particular critic or whatever, but it felt a little bit too unambiguous. Like, it didn't feel like cut and dry. It didn't like the rest of the characters, like Vin Diesel's death, like all that kind of stuff was like, okay, he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
He died, and like that's awful, but like he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the same way about his death.
Well, because we don't see him. Oh, you're talking about Tom Hanks.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm,
I don't know.
good
I mean,
point.
yes, like we see him die. I can't.
Maybe because it was a more gentle death compared to the others.
It just
It
feels
was
a little
very
bit
gentle,
less.
yeah.
Gentle in quotes.
Yeah, it just feels a little bit less like warlike.
impactful
Yeah, impactful.
compared to everything we've been seeing.
Right. If Spielberg were gonna have Tom Hanks' character pass away, I feel like he should have passed away like every other character in his platoon, but he didn't. So it's just like I can't say for certain, but like it just feels like it's a little bit too cut and dry to not just be him.
Mm,
I don't know.
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Real quick, one of my last few questions, not related to this. How many of you guys have seen Band of Brothers? You guys watch Band of Brothers?
Yeah, I
good.
own that too.
Actually,
Yes, it's a staple. Joe, have you seen it? I hope you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
Oh,
sorry.
Joe, you can no longer be called World War Joe.
Oh.
What?
You have not seen.
I
Band
would
of
also
Brothers.
say the Pacific.
Yes,
I
and
saw
Pacific's
Pacific.
great
I saw
too.
Pacific,
Yo,
though.
come on! You see Pacific, but you haven't seen Band of Brothers. Now there's something wrong there.
Right.
I'll,
Your
Pacific's
priorities
great,
kinda out of
too.
whack.
Band of
I'll
Brothers.
schedule a weekend.
I
There
don't
you
think
go.
there's any other war title that is better than Band of Brothers. That's just every single time it hits. It hits so hard. It's a must see. I was wondering how you guys thought this compared to Band of Brothers. Do you think this is above Band of Brothers? Do you think that they're pretty close? Where do you rank these two and why?
Oh, I like both of them a lot. I mean, but Band of
Bohica
Brothers,
thinks Pacific was garbage.
I think I just get drawn to that one because that's where one of my grandpas was. Well, he was at Pearl Harbor and then Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and so that kind of told that story. But my other grandpa was over in Europe. But anyway, I thought where Band of Brothers really hit hard was when they had the interviews with the real veterans in there. And so that part of it really hit home too,
That's a great
hard,
point.
but,
Yeah, they added so much weight to every episode, like starting with that.
Yeah, I think that I'll agree with Wilkie for sure. Like I think that's that's kind of what takes Band of Brothers like to another level that Saving Private Ryan doesn't really have, is that like I feel like Saving Private Ryan is like, yes, it's based on like real events and historical accuracy and all that kind of stuff, but like the Band of Brothers, like it's so much more. I don't know. You feel so much more connected to these people.
Yeah, you spend a lot more time with them, and you see
Yes,
them.
and
You
not
see them undergo
fabricated.
so many different settings and conflicts.
And it's not fabricated. Like I don't want to say that Saving Private Ryan is fabricated at all, because like there are so many like historically accurate points in it, but the documentary-esque fact with the real people who really lived through this stuff, it's not being like redesigned by actors and directors. Like I really feel like that's so much more like, it's so much more pure than any film could ever achieve. And I think that's really that's the disconnect between the two.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess we pretty much wrapped it up there, guys. Thank you all for watching today. I think we had a great time and a great panel of guests here. Thank you all for joining us. Wilkie, World War Joe, Particular Critic, Galliardo. It was a lot of fun having y'all on. Please make sure to check out all their channels. Wilkie, I love his live streams. He has fun. Wilkie he likes to have fun on YouTube, and I like that. And people like to join him for his fun. He does a great job at his live streams. And sometimes he does digital movie code giveaways. Just saying.
Ooh.
You might want to stay tuned. I won a few titles
that's
from
right.
Wilkie. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, make sure to check him out and check out our friend World War Joe too. He's like Ty said, he's a great mind. He does a great job breaking films down, and he makes some great music. So Be sure to
Everything
check
is
him out,
amazing.
and then subscribe
Everybody
to
here
Particular
is
Critic
amazing.
as well. He's new, and
Thank
yeah, valued
New
member of the
video up
team.
hopefully soon, as long
Get
as
it
my
done,
footage
man.
doesn't
Looking
get
forward to
corrupted.
it.
Yep. And if you liked what we had to say today, please make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel too. We greatly
Yeah.
appreciate you. And be sure to share this with anybody if they're interested in maybe hearing our discussion about Saving Private Ryan. And maybe we could convince somebody to watch the movie if they've been hesitant, because we're all big fans. We all loved it. I don't think there's any way you can't recommend Saving Private Ryan. It's a must see.
Right.
But yeah, thank you all for
I
watching
would just,
at the end of the day.
real quick, I would just like to say just a huge shout out to Box Office Brawler. He puts on all of these streams pretty much every week, every Tuesday. I mean, like, he's the one who invites me. Like, he's the one who puts everybody on. So just a huge shout out to him. And yeah, anybody who's watching, just give him a follow, a like
man right
anything
here.
like that. Yeah,
Thanks. Appreciate it, Ty. Thanks for the kind words.
absolutely.
And yeah, thank you all for joining us in the chat too. We love talking with you all, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.